Kids, tonight's video is called My New Shrink. Today I went to meet my new psychiatrist, my new shrink. Um, it was an interesting meeting. I met him and he met me. And we had some interesting dialogue. For those of you who have never been to a shrink session before, they're not like you see on TV a lot of times. That's more of a therapist role or a psychologist role, mostly a therapist role. A shrink is a psychiatrist. They're medical doctors, and all they care about is medicine and giving you the correct medication to get you on the road to wherever you need to be. So, having said that, excuse the interruption. Today we discussed my history in kind of a scattered sort of way, and then some of my things that I experienced, etc. Um, so it was, how do I say, interesting. He seemed at some points dumbfounded and shocked and mortified by some of the things I said, which I don't know why, but that's just my life. So anyhow, um, but like he was particularly like taken aback by the fact that I was sold twice before birth, so he wanted to hear the whole story. It's a little weird things. Um, he didn't want it, but it was weird. He wanted to hear some things, but some things he didn't want to hear. Like he didn't want to hear. He wanted to hear about hallucinations, verbal and auditory and visual hallucinations, and even tactile hallucinations. But he didn't want to hear about when they actually made sense to somebody else. He would cut me off then. So in other words, he didn't want to allow me the um, the recognition that some of this is actually paranormal because I don't think he believes in the paranormal. So that's kind of interesting because he's going to have a hard time realizing that it exists outside the scope of his medical practice. And all the drugs of the universe can't keep it away. They can keep away the things that don't make sense, but they can't keep away the things that are just natural. Um, what else do you learn when you go to a psychiatrist? When you go to a psychiatrist, you need to ask them questions too. Like you need to really get into where they're at and where they're coming from and how they're going to treat you. But you do it with deference because you never, ever, ever want to challenge a psychiatrist. The one thing that happens when you challenge a psychiatrist is you will get a defense mechanism. They are very, very highly sensitive professionals. All of them have enormous egos and they don't like to be challenged at all. So whenever you're working with a psychiatrist, you have to deal with them as if you have to maneuver them. If you want something or you need something, you have to get them to believe it's their idea. For example, I mean, but also at times you have to just stand up and say no. For example, today I stood up and said, "You will never give me Paxil, and you will never give me lithium. Those are two drugs that you will never put in my body ever. Nobody will ever put those drugs in my body again, not even against my will." And he was okay with that because it was very matter of fact. This will not happen. You can try anything else. You can electrocute me. You can peel my skin off, whatever you want. But those two things you won't do to me. I've been through that hell before. Um, but when it comes to suggesting things, you have to suggest them delicately. You cannot tell your psychiatrist what you want because then they feel like they're not in control, and they don't like that at all. So you basically just have to go along with listening, and you have to provide the answers and try to stay cognizant as much as possible. And that's sometimes hard because I don't concentrate as well as I used to. So sometimes he lost me, and like he would be asking me about one period of my life, and I'd be answering about another because I thought he wanted like a chained reaction or a chained idea. but apparently he didn't, and that wasn't clear to me. So I felt crazier than normal today, I must say, when I left. And he was all too eager to change my medications back to what I wanted, what was working for me before. Um, so hopefully I can qualify for discounts for them so I can afford them. That's the big problem, which is why I haven't been on them. It's because they're too expensive. But apparently there's some programs that'll lower the cost of at least one and maybe two. So that's a good thing for me, because it would be nice to be able to wake up and enjoy life, um, truly, as opposed to just sounding like I'm enjoying life, which I haven't been for months now. I've been in a very deep, dark depression where I sleep a lot, and I very rarely have very happy moments. Not too many, and so it'll be nice to get back to feeling like I belong somewhere or there's something to wake up for. Um, that's important. That's why I'm going for this whole thing. And next week I get to go to therapy and see my new therapist, who I've never met before. And it's a female, which is an issue because I don't really trust females. But I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt and see how it goes. And that's about it. New therapist, new shrink. Tomorrow I go back to find out if I qualify for discounts and stuff, so stay tuned. And for those of you that are going through, that go through this with mental health, don't be afraid. Go in. Take the risk. Be honest. Just tell them the way it is. Because, I mean, as I told my therapist, I said, I could sit here and lie to you all day and you'd never know the difference. I said, but my reality is scarier than most people's, lives. It's just the fact, it's just where I'm at. And he looked at me and he goes, I never thought of it that way. I said, yeah. I said, my reality is better than most people's imaginations. Because I just live it out constantly, all day, every day. And he says, how does that feel? I said, sometimes I just want to pull myself out of my skin. I said, I know that there's a reason I'm here. Right now, I don't know why, and I really want to go, but there's obviously a reason I'm sticking around, so I'm just waiting for that to manifest itself. And that's the only thing that keeps me here. And he kind of looked amazed at me, and he said, that takes a lot of faith. I said, well, what else do I have? I don't know any better. So that's the other thing. I said, a lot of these people, I said, when you look from the outside, as someone in your position does, remember something. I don't know any better. This is just my life unfolding day by day, minute by minute, second by second. So to say, oh, I'm so sorry for him, or poor me, or whatever, it's useless. Because if I don't know any better, I don't know any better. I can only report to you the news as I understand it, as I see it, as I feel it, as it comes out. And kind of opened up his eyes. He said, you have a very interesting way of communicating. So, okay, well. That, and what really bothered him too today was I told him I was synesthetic. I have synesthesia. I smell touch, and I don't particularly like to be touched because when I do people, I smell it. I smell people's energy. And he seemed to be fascinated by that, and it's like, I would talk and he'd say things like, for a while he'd just look at me, and then suddenly he'd go, and then I just keep talking, and then for some reason he'd stop and he'd listen to me some more, and he wouldn't type. He'd ask me another question, he'd listen for a while, and then if I hit something that struck him, he'd be like, it was kind of surreal, very surreal moment. So stay tuned. We'll see how my Looney Tunes turns out. Maybe if I get on the new medication. They give me some free stuff today too. Some good stuff. It's called Abilify. It helps with your current or whatever drug that your antidepressant drug. So it's supposed to be like a happy pill. So hopefully I'll wake up happy in a few days. And I try that starting tomorrow morning. So I got 3 weeks free. What a deal. Talk to you soon.